Today we're on the road to take the dogs swimming at Avonside Hydrotherapy just outside Stratford upon Avon with Debbie Honychurch. Now, hydrotherapy is a really good therapy for not only dogs that have issues or are recovering from an injury, but also for maintenance swim, especially if you're doing tricks with our Talent Dogs UK. It keeps your dog fit and well and able to develop those muscles needed for the tricks that you're training. Avonside Hydrotherapy is on Clifford's Business Park, which is just outside the beautiful town of Stratford upon Avon in this absolutely glorious countryside, and the business park itself is absolutely beautiful. The centre is right down the end of the business park, so you do have to follow the signs to make sure you get there, but you'll be coming through this lovely entrance to start with and then following it all the way down to the end. When I first came here, I did get completely lost, but Debbie is absolutely brilliant and she will help you, guide you into where you need to go. We had 3 dogs with us to swim. 2 of them had already been here swimming, so they were excited knowing where they were. And although Affie, my dog, has swum before, she hasn't been here swimming, so it's going to be her first time swimming with Debbie. This was a great opportunity for us to see behind the scenes of a hydrotherapy centre, learn all about the do's and don'ts for swimming, what swimming can help your dog with, and to really understand more about hydrotherapy and see this beautiful setup that Debbie has here. So let's go behind the scenes. Hello Debbie!
Hello, you alright?
How are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
Excellent.
Welcome to Avonside.
Thank you for having us. Should we go in?
You coming in?
What a lovely place. Thanks. So warm.
Yeah.
So
So we've got the 3 dogs today, haven't
Yes.
we? We've got Elvis, who we've swum before.
Yep.
So what we'll do with Elvis, we'll do a quick health check on him, make sure he's been alright for the last week, make sure he's been alright since swimming and how he was after swimming last time. That obviously will affect what we do with him in this session, but assuming all is okay, then we will just crack on with what we have been doing, just a slight increase. And then the other 2 are both newbies.
Yes.
So we're going to take it nice and slowly with them. We're going to get them used to the centre. We'll go through a load of questions just about what happens at home, what they're fed, what medications they're on, what conditions they've had, past and present. So I've got as much information as possible because it all affects how I do their all individual treatment plans.
Cool.
And although they're both fitness dogs and there's nothing wrong with them, it's still useful to have all of this information.
Cool.
And again, I can just give you some information that you may or may not have. And then, so we'll just do real quick swims with the 2 new dogs, just so that they're used to the process. They might be a little bit worried first time, even dogs that are confident in swimming. This is a whole new environment, it's a whole something completely different for them. So nice quick swim just so they know what we do, how we do it. They come out, they feel good, they go home, they have a think about it, they're happy, they come back next time and go, right, let's do it.
Excellent.
So that's the plan.
So excited. Right. So, shall we get Elvis first?
We'll do Elvis first and then we'll do the other 2.
Debbie has had a hydrotherapy centre for 8 years and she is fully qualified and fully insured, and it's really important that someone who swims your dog is qualified and is insured. Now this is Elvis. This is who's going to be swimming first, and he has a few issues, a few injuries, and also he's coming in for a little bit of weight loss.
This is little Elvis. He's come for a little bit of weight loss because he's got luxating patellas. So the lighter he is, the better it is for his condition. So we just start off by giving him a little bit of a shower, which first of all helps keep the pool clean, but it also warms up the muscles and just gets the dogs ready for their exercise.
So this gets done with every dog that comes in?
Absolutely.
So it's more than just shoving them in a pool then?
Yep. Yep. Nice warm muscles before we get them into the pool. Now Elvis is nice and easy because we're going to carry him into the swimming pool. Obviously the bigger dogs have to walk down ramps.
And is this a normal size pool?
They all all vary, to be fair. Some can be bigger, some can be smaller. It's all about controlled swimming. So it's not just a free-for-all. So it's all about how you're controlling the dog in the pool as opposed to the size of the pool. I swim dogs, I've swum deerhounds in here. I regularly swim Newfoundlands in here. So it's all, as I say, it's how you handle the dog in the water rather than them just splashing around. So we've just taken him onto these steps.
I was going to say you've got some steps in there as well.
Yeah, just to get him used to the fact that he can put his feet down. So what panics a lot of dogs when they're swimming is the weightlessness. It's quite an alien experience for them. So all dogs, especially when we do the first couple of sessions, is we make sure they know that there's a safe place for them to put their feet down and a safe area for them to get to. Again, just getting used to being in the water. The water's 30 degrees, so it's like being in a hot tub for us.
It's really warm in here.
Yeah, it increases vasodilation, helps with circulation, moves the blood around the dog's body, helps with pain management, helps reduce inflammation. So even just standing in the water is really good for these dogs, let alone the swimming. And
so warm, I want to get in as well.
yeah, this is why I complain about the weather all the time, because I'm in a 30-degree swimming pool for 90% of my life.
There's worse places you could be.
Yeah, literally. So we're just doing a bit of massage as well, which again is just increasing the circulation, warming up the muscles ready for the swim. We use the platform in between swims as well. We do a bit of balance work. And we just let the dogs catch their breath in between swims.
So Debbie, what would happen if, because obviously he's a really small dog, if we put, say, one of, let's say Kios, my Malinois, in there, it's only going to be his toes on that one.
And then we use the smaller steps.
Ah, there's other steps as well. That makes sense then.
Doesn't it?
And so what would happen? Obviously he's yawning away, he's more than happy to be touched. What would happen if someone had a dog that didn't want to be touched so much? Is that like a no-go for swimming then?
I think we take it nice and slow. The first few sessions we always take nice and slow. We relationship build with the dogs. We make sure that they're not too stressed. We've always got to outweigh the benefits of what we're doing with any stress we're putting the dogs through. It won't always necessarily be their first choice of activity, but we will never swim a dog that really, really, really doesn't want to do it. And one of the main reasons of them not wanting to be touched is the fact that their pain isn't under control. So we wouldn't ever swim a dog that isn't adequately pain managed. You look happier now. Look at him. He's like, oh.
He's seen the microphone, hasn't he?
Right, let's do a little swim then, bud.
Excellent, how exciting.
So this is Elvis's 4th session. So we start all the dogs just in a nice static straight line. We strengthen everything straight first, and especially because we're working on these back legs and we're making sure the muscles are strengthened in a straight plane. Ooh, he's stopped swimming. We're just holding him. This is a static swim. Just make sure he's using these back legs properly. So we're swimming for about 30 seconds there. Just let him catch his breath in between. Again, massage these muscles. A lot of dogs get really sore backs through compensation from their injuries. So a nice little back massage just help with that.
So how long are the sessions? If we booked in with you, how long are the sessions?
I allocate 45 minutes.
And the dog swims for 45 minutes?
No.
Okay.
So that includes the shower before, the shower after, a little chit chat to see how the dogs have got on in the last week, because it's or however long since I last saw you, because it's really, really important to know if there's been any changes in the dog's condition. So that is always the first thing we ask when anyone steps through the door. Has anything changed, good, bad or ugly in the last week? Because that will affect how we swim them. So maximum, even a fit dog, I will only swim for 1.5 minutes at a time, and I will repeat that 10 times. So even a fit dog will be swimming for 15 minutes in total.
Okay.
And that's because of the resistance to the water. It's obviously harder to move through water than it is through air. And especially when I'm holding them in these static swims, it can be up to 300 times harder to move.
Wow.
Which is why we get the big muscle build up quite quickly and quite easily, and that's how swimming works. It's non-impactual, so you haven't got the crunch if you're on land, but you've got the resistance of the water, which increases your weight. And obviously he's working quite hard, bless him, so it's really good for my little belly.
It's quite round, isn't it?
It's quite fluffy.
Fluffy.
There's a lot of coat.
So it's all coat.
So we'll do free swimming as well, which again works our full body. We're making sure he's working his back legs properly by just putting my hands behind him to encourage him to kick backwards. So I'm not forcing any of these movements, I'm just encouraging them. Good boy. So again, the free swimming is just working some of the other muscles in his body. And then we're going to move on to doing circles in a minute, which is working all the back muscles and all his core muscles. So swimming is also really good for working a dog's core muscles, because on land they've got feet in four corners, so quite often they don't use their tummy muscles, whereas in a pool you have to, otherwise you do a roly-poly.
So for trick dogs, anyone doing Talent Dogs UK, this would be really good for them.
Yeah, that's why Matilda can do a really good sit.
So I've been really impressed how you've got him so calm in the water. The way you are with him, you're really confident with him. It's not normally a confident dog, but you've got him swimming confidently.
Yeah, I think you've got to have the confidence with them. You've always got to be aware that they could be a little bit snappy or they could be a little bit worried. You've got to watch their body language. But if you're confident, then they're confident as well. And I think they enjoy it. They know that at the end they're going to feel good. Yeah. And again, it's back to, I take the first initial appointment very slowly. We don't do a great deal of swimming in the first appointment. We just have a routine so the dogs know this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, which relaxes them right from the beginning. It can be really scary for them swimming because it's something that's just not
he's
natural.
not a fan. He's not normally a fan, but he has taken to this really, really well.
Absolutely, and because he feels so good afterwards.
Yes.
Again, when we come out of the gym, when we come out of the hot tub, you feel good. You've got that endorphin rush. I'm always very careful, especially because I deal with a lot of injured dogs and recovering dogs and old dogs, not to overswim them. It's so important that they come out feeling good and not feeling rubbish for a couple of days, because that's not okay in my world. So I'd rather do a little quality work, and the quality that you get from swimming, even, you said within 2 sessions he was jumping back up onto the sofa. And just these little things that these dogs haven't done for years and years. You do a couple of sessions of swimming and it's absolutely incredible. Yeah, what difference it makes.
And I always find it fascinating how he goes in shivering and shaking and then comes out, big smile, waggy tail.
I've done it. You're doing it right well then. Ready, Mum?
Come on then.
No.
I'll take the cheap way. Go on then, over to me. Yeah, good boy.
So Debbie, obviously he's a little tiny dog, and you've got a German Shepherd coming in afterwards as well, and my Labrador's going to be coming in for a swim. Are there any breeds that you wouldn't swim? Purely based on breed?
Not breeds you wouldn't swim per se. There's breeds you have to be careful swimming, especially these short-nosed breeds. You've got to be careful with their breathing, and a dog with a short nose and a big barrel chest is your worst nightmare. So you have to be careful how you swim them, and again you've got to make sure that you are doing it for the good of the dog. So if they're going to struggle with their breathing, you've got to work out whether medically it's beneficial to them, but then you can adapt the way you swim them as well. So I'm swimming him for 20-30 seconds. The dog with breathing issues or potential breathing issues, you would only swim for 5 seconds at a time, and you do shorter, more regular swims. And not so much the breed, but it's more like the medical condition they've got. So there's certain medical conditions that I wouldn't swim either. So you have to make sure all dogs, even the fun and fitness dogs, have to have vet permission to swim forms. So the vets have to send me their medical info, and we just need to make sure that there is no medical reason that these dogs can't swim. And sometimes it's not the obvious, sometimes it's not like joint issues, sometimes it's if they've got skin issues, it's not advisable to swim them. Ear issues especially, you have to be careful around. But it's all vet regulated, so everything we are doing is under permission from the dog's veterinary surgeon.
So obviously you won't be picking up big dogs to get them out?
No, they have to get out all by themselves. Yeah.
So tell me what's happening now.
Right, so again at the end of each session we wash the dogs with shampoo, so it gets the chlorine out of their coats, but once again it cools down the muscles. It's like having a nice hot shower after a gym session, so it reduces the chance of any stiffness. And we use the shower head in a therapeutic manner as well, so the strength of the water will give the dogs just a cooling down massage. So just make the experience as pleasurable as possible for these guys.
So it's not just like a shower to get all the chlorine off, it's actually still part of the therapy.
It's part of the therapy as well, yes.
Yeah, clever boy. You liked it. Yeah, look at the waggy tail. Good boy. Was that good fun? Was that good fun? Yeah.
So Elvis, how did you feel after that?
Yes. Yes.
Look, everyone's looking at me.
Oh, my dad. And even though you're here for weight control, you still get sweet.
Yeah, he never takes it away.
That's a happy looking dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one?
A biscuit. We'll get a biscuit one day, won't we?
Can't take it
Nope.
today. No.
Oh, Elvis.
Do you want it?
Biscuit?
No. No. Okay.
Next, we had Louise's second dog, Jackson, in for swimming. So let's see what it is like to swim a larger dog, a bigger dog, and he's just in for maintenance swimming.
And has Jackson swum before?
Not here, no. He's coming for fitness. To help with his talent dogs and tricks.
And because he's a young dog, and swimming's a really good way to strengthen the joints of young dogs without the impact and potential damage of overwalking them.
Okay, because lots of people walk there, especially their young dogs, a lot, don't they? What would you recommend is like a good amount of walking?
The official line is 5 minutes per month of the dog. It's not a set rule. All the different breeds are different. The bigger the dog, the longer it takes for them to mature. So a dog this size won't mature until they're 18 months old. So you just have to be a little bit careful with what they do, the high impact things, the jumping especially. You just need to minimise as much as possible, just to avoid, good boy Jackson, just to avoid potential problems when they get older. So we can't wrap them up all in bubble wrap, but we can do the best for our animals as much as we can. Right, chap, you ready? with dogs I don't know, I sit and I talk to the owners for 15, 20 minutes. We let the dogs just mooch around the centre, we get them used to the smells, everything around the centre. But because we've done stuff with Jackson, he knows who I am. I'm being quite confident with my handling of him, so that when we're towards the pool and I'm confident he knows that's what we do.
Debbie then explained exactly how they were going to get Jackson in the pool. As this was his first time at this centre, he might be a little bit unsure about the procedure and about actually getting in the pool. Debbie's main aim is to make sure that the dogs are not stressed and that all of this is a positive experience for the dogs. So everything she does with them is to keep them stress-free and to make sure that they are calm the whole time. I was so impressed how this was constantly her top priority in keeping the dogs calm and putting the dogs first before any of the therapies and before anything else that happened. Once Jackson was in, he did take to it really well. However, being true German Shepherd, he wasn't the most elegant at swimming, and he was adamant to get us absolutely soaking in the meantime. I guess he thought if he was getting wet, we were getting wet too. But this was the first time with him actually in the water, and he did take to it, and he began to swim really nicely afterwards.
So can dogs just naturally swim, or is it to be taught to swim?
In theory, they naturally swim, but as I've said before, a lot of dogs have, good boy, weak core muscles. So what happens is they get in the water, their bottom end sinks, their front end comes up and splashes, they panic, good boy, it's okay, and they get themselves into a mess.
Okay.
So when we teach dogs to swim, we do a lot of core strengthening. Good boy, do that, that's better. Do a nice swim, nice calm swim. Yes, good boy. Good boy, yeah.
You're saying about controlled swimming. Obviously, we've got a lake near where I live. What would be the difference with them going in that lake and swimming and coming here and swimming?
Good boy. So a lake's cold water to start with, which is fine for a nice, fit and healthy dog. But for dogs with injuries, it contracts the muscles, ligaments and tendons, and there is more likely to be injury from swimming in the cold water and the dogs getting cold afterwards. And also getting in and out of the lakes. That's when the dogs wait. That's when the dogs, feet down, feet down. That's when the dogs get into trouble and cause themselves injuries again, is getting in and out of the lake, scrambling up and down banks. So it's absolutely fine for your recreational dog. Again, you've got to be a little bit careful how often you swim them or how much you swim them, because it is really tiring for these dogs, and it can be too easy just to throw a ball endlessly. And you do have to be a little bit careful, though you can get something called secondary drowning. It's when they inhale too much water, and you can get symptoms up to 24 hours afterwards, which can be quite serious. Then try not to do use toys off the waterline. We tend to hold them above the waterline and lure the dogs rather than having them grasping it from the waterline. Good boy. So what I was doing just now as well with his leg lifting is his balance exercises. So this is just working all these back muscles, these core muscles, good lad, strengthening all of those. Because he's in the water, he's supported by the water, so if the dog's weaker in its back and it topples over, it's a slower process, so it's got longer to correct itself and longer to activate those muscles. So for dogs that are weaker in the back, it gives them a better chance to activate those muscles and therefore strengthen them. Right, you ready to go swim again?
Get out of the way.
Yeah, you ready? Can you get in? Let's go.
Good. Come on then. Yeah. That's a bit better.
Spoke too soon.
They become more confident if you can free swim them as soon as possible. And when I say free swim, I mean swim without me restricting them too much. You going?
Going again. Yes. Good boy.
Good boy, that's better. That's nice.
Did you like that? Did you?
As said before, you need to make sure that your hydrotherapist is qualified and insured, and here are Debbie's certificates. She also does a thing called laser therapy, and we're going to be discussing that in just one moment. On a side note, Debbie also does scent work for pet dogs, and this is a really great low impact activity for any dog that has injuries and complements her hydrotherapy.
So I've just seen that you do laser therapy. Is that something that would benefit Elvis?
So laser therapy is red light therapy. It's non-heating. You use the light to stimulate the cells within the body, and you can target specific cells through the different frequencies you use with your machine. It's very good for pain management. It's very good for a wide range of things, but I use it primarily for pain management. The thing with Elvis is his pain is under control. So we are swimming him mainly for strengthening and fitness and weight control. So, but because Elvis has got abnormal joints through his luxating patellas, he will get arthritis down the road. It's something that unfortunately, whatever we do, we can't prevent. So it's something we can use in the future when we think he is going to get a little bit niggly round those areas. Yep. We can use it on him for that. I use it a lot on your arthritic dogs, but I will always swim them for a couple of sessions first.
Yes.
Get rid of all your secondary issues, and then we can identify where the primary issue is and use the laser to treat the primary issue with pain management or muscle relaxant or whatever we decide to target, and then it just gives them that extra boost as well alongside the swimming.
Brilliant, thank you.
Next, it was Affy's turn to get in the pool, and I was so excited to get one of my dogs in the pool. She barged her way in and went straight in. I think she knew where she was going. She has swum before, but she hasn't swum here. She started off having her shower. Now, I don't tend to shower my dog, so I think she thought all her birthdays had come at once at this point. She loved the shower. And first time meeting Debbie, and she loved Debbie too. It wasn't long until she was dragging Debbie up the ramp when she'd seen that water. She wasn't difficult to get in. She was eager to get in this water and eager to start swimming. There was nothing going to stop her getting in the pool. So let's go back to seeing what other words of wisdom Debbie can give us about swimming and see what she thinks about Affy swimming.
So she's an anomaly then, isn't she? So her feet don't reach that one.
No.
And they don't reach, and the other one's too big for her.
Yeah.
Too
So
high up.
I'm just going to have her up on my knee just while she settles. Some dogs don't really like this rest period. They just want to get on with the job, which may very well be what she's all about. Good girl.
Look at her go! Do you find some breeds just take to it and some don't?
It's quite hard to say because a lot of the dogs that are used to swimming do get a little bit worried about being handled in the water.
Okay, yeah.
So initially it can be a little bit worrying for them. They soon get used to the idea of feet. They soon get used to the idea and they get used to the routine, and again this is why we take it nice and slowly on the first couple of sessions, so they settle into it really quickly. So if anything, I'll probably have more problems with dogs that are used to swimming, whereas the dogs that aren't used to swimming and can be nervous around water actually prefer being handled and prefer the confidence of me being there, and you get a better first couple of sessions out of the more nervous dogs sometimes. And there's no hard and fast rule, they are all individuals. We tailor our sessions to each individual.
She's looking at the microphone
Yeah.
as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's like, what, is this a rabbit? So how often would you recommend they do go swimming? If just say we're just doing maintenance, we're just doing for fitness, if you're doing tricks or scent work or agility, How often would you recommend swimming?
Bottom line, the more often you do it, the quicker you're going to get results and the better the results you're going to see. If it's a rehab case, I like to do 10 sessions once a week. So rehab is if they've had some sort of injury, arthritis, cruciate repair, spinals we can do. But yeah, and again, it all depends on the individual dog and how they cope with it. Some take longer to recover. Most of them should be, well, the idea of taking it slowly is that they're absolutely fine straight away. But some of the older dogs do just need a little bit longer, so some people come every 10 days. Good girl. But yeah, with a fit, healthy dog, you can bring them as often or as infrequently as they like. Okay.
Oh yes. So obviously I've got multiple dogs, and would they be allowed to all swim together if I brought you down? Can they all come and play around and swim together?
No.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
It's all about controlled swimming.
Right.
So if I have any more than one dog in the pool at once, it's not controlled.
Yeah.
So we're very strict about that. It is all about controlled swimming. Because although it is water, so there's limited damage you can do in water, there is still damage you can do. And then they get overexcited and then you're not paying attention to them and right. As a therapy, we just swim one dog, even if it's just for fun and it's a therapy, we just swim one dog at a time.
Mine will probably dump the others under the surface of the water anyway and try and annihilate them, I would have thought. Kios would. So get rid of that Medusa.
I want to be the only child.
Yeah, exactly. She's getting more treats. She's obsessed with the microphone.
Yeah, but it doesn't look cute.
It does look very cute.
Right.
It's Kios, they're going to talk to me for weeks after this.
No. Ready? Let's go.
So what's the main issue that you see coming in, and what you or do you specialise in an issue, or do you just see a regular thing coming in?
I specialise in your oldies. They've got my heart. Your arthritic dogs. They say 80% of dogs over the age of 5 have got some form of arthritis, and preventative is better than cure. So swimming is good for any dog. It's good at strengthening joints, strengthening core muscles, strengthening back muscles before you get to a problem. But the big thing about the water for the old dogs is that it's weightlessness. So they've got painful joints, it hurts for them to walk, but in the water it doesn't. It gives them the freedom of movement, and you can see in these old dogs' faces just being able to move freely again. It just makes them so happy. And again, it can work so quickly. One of the comments I get quite regularly is the dog jumped back on the sofa. And this is a dog that hasn't been able to do it for 18 months, 2 years, and within 2 weeks of swimming, it's jumping back on the sofa because it feels well again. And then obviously you've got to be careful it doesn't hurt itself by jumping back on the sofa, or more importantly jumping off the sofa. But just the fact that that dog feels that it can. And I do a lot with CAM, which is Canine Arthritis Management.
Okay.
They do a lot of Facebook Lives, they do a CAM Advocate course, which professionals can do to look out for pain signs in dogs, to do home adaptions in dogs. So I spend a lot of time in the first session, especially with the older patients, going through how you can help the dogs at home, the adaptions, the supplements, the medications that are available. And I've got the time that vets don't, and that's not the vet's fault at all, but I make sure I've got the time to go through with people just to make sure that they know what's going on with their dog, because some people don't, because not that they're afraid to ask, but sometimes you just don't think to ask at the time. And I've got experience with a lot of the conditions, and I've got vets excuse me, I've got vet connections, so I can always find out questions and answers for people, depending and what they're asking. I might just keep her. Can I keep her?
You think you're my best friend now.
I like her. She's like, no, Mum, don't make me stay. I want to go home.
Oh no, she'd happily stay.
She's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Ready? Yeah.
So she's quite a strong swimmer there, isn't she?
She's a lovely strong swimmer. She's nice and still in the water. You get some dogs, especially when they start.
She's not the most intelligent.
When they start, you see them flapping their tails about, and everyone's like, oh, they're wagging their tail in the water. And it's not. It's purely because the tail. Ready? Landing. The tail is an extension of the spine, and they're using their tail to balance rather than they're using their back muscles, which are too weak.
Right.
So she's got nice strong back muscles, which is keeping her upright in the water, and the fact that her tail's nice and flat and just following on from the body just emphasises how nice and strong she is.
Because she's very sleek in the water, isn't she?
Yeah, so she's not nice and strong.
Yeah, you're nice and strong.
So I'm not teasing her by, well, I am teasing her by not letting her have. But we try to discourage the dogs getting anything off the waterline, which is why we put it in front of their nose and lure them, rather than continually snapping at the water.
Have you had any dogs that just sunk to the bottom of the pool?
Kind of. Again, it's when they've got these weak core muscles, they drop their bum and they can literally sink. So dogs that we think might do that, we put into the buoyancy aids to start with. But yeah, that's when the dogs can't swim. In all the time I've been doing this, which is 8-9 years now, I've only ever had 4 dogs that just really haven't got on with it.
Really?
Yeah. 2 of those were German pointers.
Really?
I don't know if that's a reflection on the breed or what, but yeah, they just didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, didn't bond, couldn't cope with it. The other one was a little staffy, and again it's outweighing the benefits the dog was getting out of potential breathing issues and stuff like that. And the other one was a perfectly fit and healthy collie, but it was a collie that did heel work to music, that had a really strong bond with its owner, and just wasn't happy being handled by anyone else.
Oh, really?
So the one dog that you thought would be absolutely fine, absolutely could not cope with it at all. And he was only being spun for fitness, so we decided that it wasn't worth worrying him any further.
So it's very much weighing up what is beneficial to the dog,
and
then what other things you could do if you don't like it.
Absolutely,
There you go. She just trusts you completely as well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
All of the dogs that have been in have just completely trusted you.
We finished up the session with Affie having her shower and Debbie telling me all about the things that I should be doing with Affie when I get her home, and all the safeguarding and any signs to watch out for. There really is so much care that goes into swimming the dogs at Debbie's Hydrotherapy that I can't recommend this place enough. It is absolutely amazing, and it is really fun for dog and owner. So by the time we got outside, it was tipping down with rain, so we left the unit waving Debbie goodbye, ready to get on the road to get back to the rest of the dogs, and to hope that Affie wouldn't tell everybody else what she'd been getting up to today, because everyone would want to be doing it too. We had the obligatory stop at Subway to get some lunch, or it was a bit of a late lunch, and then they couldn't tell me which bread was vegan, so I had to look through their little manual thing to work out exactly which bread I could have. Lunch was absolutely delicious, or late lunch was delicious, and once we'd eaten, we got back on the road. Thank you so much to Debbie for having us at Avonside Hydrotherapy for the day, showing us around her unit, explaining all about hydrotherapy, the benefits, the pros, the cons, and everything else that surrounds it. If you want to take your dog swimming with Debbie, All the details are in this post or in the comments. Just drop her a line and she'll be happy to book you in.